If you're planning to travel with a baby, I need you to stop right now. Stop and ask yourself the following questions. 1. Do I like being frustrated? 2. Am I not enjoying my life? 3. Do I like problems? Do I not want peace? 4. This thing that I want to do, does it make sense? 5. Am I actually normal? If you have been able to answer these 5 questions and your answers convince you that you should go ahead and travel with your child, a baby, an infant, this video is for you. My husband and I traveled with our then 6-month-old. There were a lot of questions I had unanswered, and so I'm making this video just for every new parent out there that has so many questions about how to travel with a baby and 0 answers. New mom, new dad, traveling with a baby, I got you. I even made a whole lesson note for this reason. Every single thing that you want answered will be answered. And you know what, if you're looking for a particular topic, just use the precise sequence so that you don't spend your whole time here. If you know a lot of other stuff and there's just something you're looking for, you will see the headings and then you can pick what you want to pick. I took time to cover every single thing that could possibly come up or you could possibly want to ask about while traveling with a baby. But first, relax. I know it's a lot. Your thoughts are already going, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, can I do this? Yes, you can, and you will, and we'll do it together. So just breathe and subscribe. It's actually better to fly with your baby when they're like 0 months old, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, probably 5 months. From 5 months, it gets tricky. The moment your child begins to become aware of their environments, becomes alert, and they can see things, their emotions are becoming, prominent. They can get upset, they can get happy, they can decide that they want to be too playful. The moment your child begins to feel, you're in trouble. Anything from 5 or 6 months upward, there could be disaster. I mean, like, I was so exhausted on a 9-hour flight that I was like, Lord, please, I should not have done this. I should never have done. I had no business doing this. God, Jesus, take away this cup from me. I want peace. I don't want problems. But I was already knee deep in it, and I just had to see it through to the end. So I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to go through that. I don't want you to make that mistake, and that's why we're here. When you leave your house, how are you getting to the airport? Are you using a cab? Are you driving? Do you have a driver? If you do, are you in a country where you would need to use strollers? If you're in a country where you need to use strollers, then you need to pack a stroller, right? In a lot of African countries, we don't really have the road space for all that. So you may not bother really, except you're traveling from an African country to a country where you will probably need strollers. Then you pack one along. Also, if you're in a country that uses car seats, you also know that you probably should, install a car seat. If you're going with a cab, you have to pre-install your car seat when you get the cab. So you get a portable car seat that you can just easily put in the cab, right, and get to the airport. Personally, I feel like strollers are too much work, right? But they can ease up your stress, moving around the airport, or even when you get to your destination, especially if you're going for a vacation and you need to explore, then strollers come in handy. When you're trying to get your stroller and your car seat on the plane, there are 2 ways you can do that. When you go to check-in, that's your first point of checking in all your luggages. You can decide to check your car seat in and your stroller in at that point, so that you know that you're done with that, right? There are some pros and cons for checking in your stroller or your car seat at the first check-in. You don't have to carry it around through the entire airport, right? However, the con, higher chance of it getting lost, especially if you're flying with an airline that is notorious for losing stuff. Like, you might get your stuff the next week. So what happens then? If you're planning to explore, or you're on vacation, you want to explore where you're going to, you can't get there and then you don't have a stroller. You're going to be frustrated. So if you check in at the first check-in, you just keep it at the back of your mind that this might happen, and if this happens, I have to have a contingency or something. Another con of checking in your stroller and your car seat at that first point of check-in is there's high risk of damage. Have you ever seen how they throw luggages around at airports? So if you take your stuff there, the risk of damage is very high. Like you're checking in your stuff when they throw that stroller, and strollers are not cheap, except you get the cheap ones. Most strollers are not cheap. So I would even advise that if you're traveling, just get a cheap stroller for travel. You can just have especially if you travel a lot, just have a cheap stroller for travel. You know, some of these portable strollers that are cheap, you just have that one for travel, because if you go and carry your expensive maxi cozy or iflo stroller, they will destroy it for you. The second kind of baggage check that you can do if you don't want to drop off your items at the first check-in is the gate check-in. Now the gate check-in happens at boarding, literally like when you're about to board. If you're doing the gate check-in, you don't have to wear your baby. All you have to do is put them where you're putting them, in the stroller or in the car seat, and move them around, right? It removes the stress of being burdened by the weight of another human being. If you're going with a car seat, for example, if there's an empty seat on the plane available, you can always tell them to give you the empty seat, so you and your baby just sit beside each other. You put your baby in the car seat, which is super convenient, right? But it has some cons. You have to carry all these things through the airport, and then that's extra load. When the flight has landed, you have to wait for them to now bring out gate checked-in items before you can now even go for your other check-in items. If you have more check-in items, you get that too can be stressful, right? So pick your poison: gate check-in or first check-in, right? Whatever works for you is fine. I think that's the hardest part of traveling for me. Getting through security, removing everything, putting them through the scanners, and then coming out on the other end to remove everything back again. The number one thing I want to say about security is, if you're going with breast milk or formula, don't be afraid. Pack as much as you want. Reasonable size, or don't say you should go and pack 25 liters. Like just for the flight itself, you can pack your breast milk, in a small insulated food bags. You can pack the one that will be enough for the baby, depending on how much your baby drinks. You calculate based on how much your baby drinks per hour, or per 2 hours, or per 4 hours, times the number of hours you're going to be on that flight. If you're doing formula, I would recommend that you buy the pre-made formulas, the liquid ones, right? Because that saves you a lot of stress. But if you can't, just bring some hot water and your powder formula, so that you can always mix and give your baby. You can also get hot water from the flight attendant. The flight attendants can always get you hot water, or even help you have your milk heated. I had the flight attendant heat my breast milk all the time for me to give my baby, because she doesn't take cold milk. There's some babies that take cold milk, mine doesn't. Even if you come with hot water in a flask, it might get cold, especially if you're on a long flight. So they can always refill your flask, or just help you warm it straight up to give your baby. They put limits to liquids, for flight. Like they tell you, oh, you can't take more than 100 ml, or you can't take water. It does not apply to breast milk, right? So just know that it doesn't apply. Even if you're traveling alone, you're not with your baby, but you're traveling with your breast milk, maybe to meet your baby somewhere, they would still let you through. They will let you through. You won't have any issues with that. Another thing that does not count as bags or anything like that is your diaper bag. Like you have a small diaper bag where you put just things that you need for your baby on the flight: diaper, Vaseline, some pseudo cream, just to be on the safe side, so your baby doesn't have rashes and you don't know what to do, wipes, and don't forget your changing pad, right? And if you can get the disposable changing pads, it would be better. Always make sure you wipe, because the toilets can get really nasty. There are a lot of people on the flight. I had an experience at Heathrow, actually, in the UK, where I had to you know forgo my Vaseline and all of that, because according to them, each of them were more than 100 ml. I also even had drugs for my baby, but they didn't let me go with them because of the quantity. So if you have things like that, maybe you have your Vaseline, or you have pseudo cream, or you have drugs for your baby, or any other stuff like that, I would advise you just get all these petite travel tubes and stuff and containers, so you can just put minute amounts of these things just for your flight duration. If not, you might have to leave them at security, and that would just be a complete waste. Breast pumps also don't count as carry-on. So if you're with your breast pump, you can still carry your carry-on bag, no stress. If you're moving your baby through security with a stroller, you will have to take the baby out of the stroller and pass the stroller through the scanner, and then come out at the other end and then put the baby back in the stroller. That is in addition to taking off your shoes, your belt, whatever else. If you're wearing a sweatshirt, they'll probably ask you to take it off. So just know, for some airports, if you're wearing your baby with a carrier, they won't stress you, they will ask you to go. However, some will still tell you to remove the baby and pass the carrier through. So just know, just brace yourself that, oh, even if I'm wearing my baby, I may have to drop the carrier, right? I may have to scan the carrier. So it's even better that you get a carrier that only you, especially if you're traveling solo, something that only you can wear back. Because you don't want a situation where you're wearing a carrier, you have to remove the carrier and pass the baby through, and then you start looking for, oh my god, excuse me sir, excuse me ma, please can you help me to buckle, can you? So you need to get something that you can easily wear, that you don't really need anybody to adjust or fix for you. Should I get a seat for my baby? Look, if you can afford it, go for it. I'm not even going to dissuade you. You're the one who's going to enjoy it at the end of the day. That baby is going to be fine on their own. Like, there won't be any stress. But if you can't afford it, lap your baby. Getting a seat for your baby, you will pay the full adult price. They're not going to give you half price because it's a baby. You will pay. So if you want to get a seat for your baby, you have the money to get a seat for your baby, do. But even apart from getting a seat option, there are provisions made for women with children on the flight, right? You have what's called the bassinet seats, right? There are seats on the flight that come with a bassinet where you can put your baby. Now, these seats are mostly the bulkhead seats. What are bulkhead seats? Bulkhead seats are the seats where you don't have anybody sitting in front of you, right? The seats where you just face the demarcations in the plane, right? That's the best I can explain it right now. Those are called bulkhead seats. Those seats usually have more leg room, more space, and the spaces they have are not passageway. So if you're traveling with a baby and you want to get bassinet seats, my dear, you need to book ahead, because it's first come first serve. So if you know that you want a bassinet seat, let them know, like, because there's so many people traveling with babies, you're not the only one. So you need to call the airline while you're booking and say, oh, I need a bassinet seat because I'm going to be with my baby. I'll make sure that they assign to you a bulkhead seat, because that's most likely where the bassinets would be. You need to confirm that you've been assigned a bassinet seat before you even start making your journey, right? So if you're able to get a bassinet seat, good and fine. It's great. You're probably going to enjoy your trip with your baby, because when your babies are asleep, you put them in the bassinet and you have your time to yourself. Also, if you want them to play, you can put them in the bassinet and put some stuff to keep them busy, right? The bassinet seat idea is a great one if you can get it. If you're traveling with your spouse and your baby, where is your spouse going to sit? If you're getting a bassinet seat is free for mother with baby, but bassinet seat is not free for mother with baby and spouse. So if you're getting a bassinet seat, mother and baby are settled. What about spouse? Now, if spouse wants to sit close to mother and baby, spouse has to pay extra, because those seats are prime seats. But if you don't have money to pay extra, free it. They will sit somewhere else, right? Or at the end of the day, if the seat beside is empty, like nobody booked it, they will still come and sit with you. Or you can just ask the airline if they can move your husband or your spouse to that seat. Another question that a lot of women ask is, where should I sit, aisle or window? I mean, the two most talked about seats, the aisle or the window seat. Personally, I prefer the window seat because I always like the view. But if you're carrying a baby, the aisle seats might be a bit more practical. Because you might need to move around the lot, go to the toilet, go to the back of the plane to ask the staff for something if they're not responding quickly to you. If you want to rock your baby, you need to stand up. You might need some space. I'll sit. But me, I'll always go for the window. So you pass check-in, everything is set, you're ready to board. Don't board without changing that baby. Go to the restroom or the mother care area and change your baby's diapers. You know what? Just start the flight on a fresh note. You don't want to get on the flight and 2 seconds later, your baby needs a change. You need to board on time. You cannot afford to board late. That other people are boarding late. That's not your business. So be there on time, because you can't afford to be struggling for overhead compartment space. Remember that you're traveling with a baby, you might, because you're traveling with a baby, you might have to go a lot of things. And if you have a lot of things, you need some space, right? So when you board early, if you have 10 things, you put all your luggages. When people come, they will look for where to put their own. That's not your business. But you need to make sure that you come before every other person, like, so that even if there's a queue or anything, you can be first in line. Before you sit down, take some wipes and wipe down the chair. You don't know who was seated there before, what was done, if everything is hygienic. If it's just you, I don't mind. But if you're traveling with a baby, you want to keep everywhere germ free as much as possible. So just wipe down. Feeding your baby during the flight can be a bit challenging, but the first time you should feed your baby is during takeoff and landing, right? Now, your baby may not accept, but do try. Feeding them will help with the pressure on baby's ears. You know that there's lots of pressure during takeoff and landing, so try to feed them. It would help. Also, if you see very good ear muffs, please buy them for your kids, just to help with the pressure on their ears, right? I did find out that some of these earmuffs are not very, they don't stay on baby's head like that. So just find really good ones that you don't have to battle with all through. You can travel with frozen breast milk. It's a challenge that a lot of people haven't figured out, but I have hacked it, and so I have the best way for you to do it. Watch this video in my channel. This right here will tell you how to travel with frozen breast milk and get to your destination and everything is still intact, and you can have your baby on breast milk throughout your trip and back. This video. I'm traveling with my baby. What do I pack? Depending on the airline, your baby might get a bag of 10 to 12 kg. For diapers, have a diaper bag for the baby. I'm not talking about the small one that you use for changes and stuff where you have just a few wipes and toiletries. No, a proper mommy bag where you have everything that the baby is going to need throughout the flight. That's also the same mommy bag that you use if you're taking your baby out, like when you guys are maybe visiting a place or exploring. Same mommy bag. You should pack one diaper for every 2 hours plus 3 extra diapers. One diaper for every 2 hours plus three extra diapers. That way you're sure that no matter what may come up throughout the flight duration, you're covered. Even if your baby has six blowouts, you have extra. Okay, that way you're safe. That's just to be safe, right? Because it's better safe than sorry. You can't go about begging for diapers on the flight. That's if you see anybody to beg from. So it's just better to be on the safe side and pack what will be enough for your baby throughout the duration of the flight. Another important thing that you need to have in your mommy bag is extra clothes for the baby. Because guess what? Anything can happen. If your baby has a huge blowout and it covers their neck and the whole clothing, you need to change. So maybe just get a couple of overalls, right? That you can change. You remember that the flights will most likely be cold. So overalls are better. If you can get the fleece overalls, that's better. If not, cotton overalls are fine. But just make sure that you have extra clothing for the baby, right? And then another thing that you need to pack is extra clothing for yourself, because remember, if your baby has a blowout or anything like that and it touches you, you would also need to change. So maybe just like leggings and an extra tee or a bodycon gown that can fit into something that you can just easily roll up and put in the mommy bag would be great. Very important thing to pack in your mommy bag: toys and snacks. Because trust me, if you're on a long flight, you need to entertain that baby. You need to entertain that baby, so you need to have things that will catch their attention, right? And then you introduce them one by one. You don't just dump everything for them at once. They will get sick and tired of it and then start looking for the next thing. So you introduce them one after the other. Let your baby play with it, get tired of it. And also snacks. There are a couple of snacks. I'm going to put images of some of them that I used for my baby on the flight. She loved them. You're going to see images of some of them right now popping up on your screen. So just get really nice snacks that your baby would enjoy, right? That will just keep them busy. That is also soft on their tummy, so you don't have any complications on the flight. But keeping baby entertained is very important. If you're a screen time mama or papa, that's great for you. You can put on some screen for them. If you don't really support screen time for infants, you need to find other ways of entertaining them, like toys. but you know that's tricky because babies get tired of toys quickly, so you need to find the ones that will really engage them. But I wish you the best of luck either ways. Another thing that some parents might do is get headphones for their baby. Some parents are against it, so if you're against it, that's fine, then don't. But if you don't mind getting headphones for your baby, and I'm not talking about the earmuffs, actual Bluetooth headphones, you can play some white noise for them when they want to sleep, or just if you're in the really noisy part of the airplane that has a lot of pressure, you can also use the headphones in to just keep the noise out. But if your baby is used to playing white noise to sleep or hearing white noise to sleep, a headphone would really come in handy. What do you do when you're in the flight, when your baby is uncomfortable screaming and everybody is looking at you like, what is going on? I had so many moments like that when my baby was just fussy and she would just be crying, and it makes people uncomfortable. People are sleeping and then the baby wakes them, or they're trying to focus on something, the baby is just like, focus on you and your baby in that moment. You know what? Their reaction is totally normal. In fact, if you were in their shoes, you probably react same or similar way, or you might have pity on the mother, you can't tell. But focus on what you can control. What you can control being your emotions and your baby. So make sure that you're in check, right? And because you're okay, you will see that when you start to comfort your baby, you will be able to pass on some of that calm feeling. Babies can also sense some of these things. If you allow yourself to get emotional and fussy as well, your baby feels it and then gets worse, right? So be calm. Try and rock your baby. Try and stand and rock your baby. If you have a muslin sheet or like a blanket or something, you can tie them on your back the African way, right? And rock them. I did that to my baby a lot. I put her on my back. When she gets fussy, I put her on my back. I don't mind. I don't care who's looking, because that's my problem. It has nothing to do with any other person. I put her on my back and I rock her to sleep, right? So just you need to understand that it's a new environment even for your baby, so they might be very uncomfortable. You need to be very understanding. Don't get mad at your baby because you are mad. It's very easy to get frustrated, I'm not going to lie, it can be a lot. But just because your baby is uncomfortable, you need to try and understand that this is new for them, and they might be going through a lot internally. So just try and be their comfort, okay? I promise you everything is going to go well. If you have a spouse that is helpful, it will be a great thing. Like spouses that can, say, okay, let me have the baby for 30 minutes, you go, or 1 hour, you go rest, right? Or a spouse that can help you to do all of the movements to get warm water or all of that. Having your spouse around can be a great help. But even if you don't have your spouse, you can kill it. I promise you, you can kill it. And I'm here with you every step of the way. If you have more questions, if you have any kind of question at all, please leave it in the comments. I'm here. I'm like, you don't understand, I'm not going anywhere. I'm with you. I would help you through everything you need to know. Ask me all the questions. If there's a video you want me to make, or a particular thing you want me to address, let me know in the comment section. I will address it for you. If there's a particular question you have, a particular pain point you have, anything you're looking to get more information from, I'm all ears. I'm literally all ears. I'm made of nothing but ears. So I do hope that this video has really helped you. If you have a mom or a dad who is planning to travel soon, or you feel like they might need this video, share it with them. But most importantly, don't leave this place without subscribing and liking this video. Like the video, then subscribe, right? Like the video. Like, if I'm trying to help people here, so if you don't help me to push this thing out, how will people know that they can get help? So please help me help us, okay? Anyway, thank you from seeing things from the eyes of the shoe. I'll see you in my next videos. I'll just go watch some of my own other videos, see if you can get anything you like. Bye.